Missed out on breakfast? Fret not. It's never too late to grab a bite.
All right, today's Breakfast Bites is all about expectations at work to some degree, specifically intrusive demands from your boss. So as an example, have you ever taken a sick day and then got a surprise call from your boss? Where are you? How are you feeling when you're home resting? Or maybe you're expected to do a lot of work after you've clocked out for the day, something along those lines. Have you ever gone through that?
I think back in the day when I was in another job, I did have different expectations because we were project-based to a small company. So every hit count was critical in the sense that if one person's out of action, right, it can have a huge impact on how things flow. So even though you might be sick, you are still expected to hand over your stuff or keep the plates spinning in that sense.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes there are some high expectations placed on you. I guess it depends on where you work. Yeah.
I guess so. And if you've been following the news and us here on The Breakfast Show, you'd know about the recent saga over Certus's medical leave policy. Sparked a huge debate here in Singapore about where exactly the line is when it comes to your boss asking about your private life and so on, right? And this is something that was addressed on AskST on the Straits Times. What can you do when your boss crosses the line with intrusive demands? And how can you even tell when a request is intrusive or whether that's fair game? Is it over the top? Sometimes you don't really know. So we do have a few points to bring up. First is the demand to work after hours. Do you have to work after hours, Ryan? We are special, right?
We have a bit of a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
But I imagine many jobs require you to be available to some extent, like you're checking emails or responding to stuff. Like work these days don't operate on a fixed timeline. So
that's true.
You have clients or teammates from overseas sometimes. Sometimes you have projects which can lead to more intensive stretches. And I think especially so in some sectors like law or in finance, right? So there is a lot of cultural practices that are deep set in that sense.
Very true. Okay, so back in 2022, HR agency Randstad found that 57% of respondents say that they have bad work-life balance due to an unreasonable boss or unsupportive colleagues. Also, ADP research in 2023 showed that 40% of Singapore workers believe that they work up to 10 hours unpaid time per week. So it seems like it's just part of the culture here, but how do you know when is intrusive to your life and when is it just like part and parcel of the job?
Yeah, because your job scope sometimes requires to be on the ball. So I'm not sure where to draw this line sometimes. And different people would have different thresholds. Like, do you respond to emails in 2 hours or 10 minutes? So where do you set those expectations?
Yeah, 33% also said they work overtime because their bosses send emails and text messages at night and on weekends. And to this, I apologize, Ryan. I know I've done this to you a couple of times. But what do you make of these numbers? Do you think it's an intrusive demand to write your employees when they've clocked out of work?
Yeah, that's quite tricky. So sometimes when I'm doing work, right, I will draft my emails and then schedule it for office hours for it to be sent. So I don't send it, for example, on a Sunday. I would park it for scheduling on Monday, 8 o'clock. So it all rolls out of my inbox at that time. So it doesn't place expectations or pressure on people to respond at that time. Unless it's really urgent, then maybe, hey, I shouldn't make it too much of a frequent
habit, right?
Habit,
yeah. So I think the trouble with this is that it's hard to determine what is truly intrusive and what is just something that you have to deal with as an employee. I think when something is as clear-cut as what happened with Certus Cisco, that is obviously a very intrusive, unreasonable thing to ask for. But when you're kind of like towing the line, it's hard to bring that up to your boss, right?
I guess you can have that discussion. Maybe you can go somewhere. But yeah, I think some lines can be crossed, like location tracking.
Yes.
Where are you outside of work? What are you doing now? This sort of thing. So yeah, there's some lines that are quite general. I think that's where it's good to have these conversations if you are not happy with what you have right now.
Yeah. And now we turn to the sick leave thing. Home surveillance, of course, very rare and not reasonable to ask for. Experts say that while your company can manage absenteeism, they still have to play fair under the Employment Act and and MOM guidelines. So, for example, yes, your boss can, of course, ask for your MC, maybe even check in to see when you'll be back, but home surveillance, GPS tracking on your personal phone, that is obviously a big no-no, okay? So even asking for your entire medical history when it's not relevant, that crosses the line as well. And yet a lot of this isn't always technically illegal, but it can breach best practices and even the Personal Data Protection Act. So I think the first step is to look up the Employment Acts and MOM guidelines. That would probably help you out. But what can you do if you find yourself stuck in an awkward spot? First things first is that you should document what was asked, when, and by whom. It's always good to keep track of these things. And then maybe ask for it in writing. Get your HR department or manager to clarify what exactly they're asking for and why. And then I think that point number 3 is a difficult part, is to speak up respectfully, right?
Yeah.
Highlight why you're uncomfortable. You have to cite your privacy. And if you can, maybe offer an alternative. Like, hey, I'm happy to give you the doctor's note instead of you coming to my house. Or, a regular HR update instead of random surprise calls. I think that this is a good way to say something, right? Is to communicate.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to involve HR and have some form of a paper trail.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're not even aware of what's going on. So having that in place protects you to some extent.
And if you're really feeling the heat, you can always get some advice. Not from me and Ryan, we're definitely not the experts here, but maybe it could be from your union, the Tripartite Alliance for Dispute Management, or even a free legal clinic. The Ministry of Manpower can also weigh in if you suspect that there's been a real breach of your rights. So next time you're feeling pressured to answer a "where are you" message at 11 p.m. from your boss, remember that you have options and you should stay informed. Try to stay polite and know when to push back. So that was today's Breakfast Bites, helping you keep your work-life balanced.